Good morning, Women of Purpose. This is our weekly meetup for Women Who Warfare. I actually wanted to get done and clean my place and all that, but the baby fell asleep. So I'm grabbing the chance while I have it. He's on the floor behind me, so if he gets up, I will get up and get him, but I wanted to be able to share while he's at least sleeping. So I'm going to try to get this out before he wakes up. This week, for our warfare tools and tactics, I want to talk about defeating defeat. Because more often than not, one of the main reasons we give up or lose, hey, good morning, girls, is defeat overtakes us. And when defeat overtakes us, it takes our will to war. It takes our strength. It takes our courage to face the battle. So in order to become victorious in your life, for your family, is to defeat the defeat that is trying to defeat you. So let's talk about defeat. How, first of all, defeat's heavy. It's a heavy weight. It's very discouraging to the soul. It's a mind trick. Obviously, you have to know defeat is in the mind. So it's all about the mind today. We've spoke many times about the scriptures concerning the mind, so I don't want to focus too much on that. Maybe another day, but I want to talk about defeat in itself. But it does need to be said and noted first off that defeat is in the mind. This is not something that is outer. This is an inner thing. It might come from outside sources, but the fight is going to be in the mind. You've got to take captive the mind. You've got to get the thoughts in subjection to the mind of Christ. You've got to get yourself into a place to where you are knowing who you are, knowing what you're doing, and know what the will of God is. And even if circumstances come against you or are contrary to what you know is to happen, you've got to be able to stay in that place of being unwavering just because circumstances have changed for the day. Because that's the thing about trials, tribulations, seasons. They change from day to day. Nothing is ever the same. So you've got to learn how to be stable in your mind, in your belief, in your fight, in your warfare. You've got to know that just because you get you take a hit in one place, it cannot take your feet out from under you. You've got to be steady. You've got to stay strong. You've got to stay unmovable in what you're fighting for. If you're fighting for deliverance of maybe your husband, your sibling, or your children, if they come home drunk, that cannot alter the course. That is a hiccup. That's a bump in the road. It's not the final act. It's not the final say. You've got to be able to say, all right, I see it's a mistake. It's okay. We're brushing on because we know what the will of God is. We know what the word of God is. We know what we're warring for. And to start there, I want to talk about Joseph. If there's anybody who's ever took hit after hit and has stayed unmovable, I believe it's Joseph. And you can find his story in Genesis 37 all the way to chapter 50. Actually, it might even be 51 too, but I know 50 for sure. Joseph is a man who continually was on top, but he never stayed on top. He was continually brought low, and he was always the expression taking the rug out from under you. If there was ever somebody that applied to, it would be this man's life. Because every single time he got to a place or a position where he was on top, he was victorious, he was on the mountain, he was celebrated, as he was thrown to the pit next. It was continually taken back from him. His story starts, where I want to start is Genesis 37, and I only want to pick up a few scriptures. I don't want to read a ton, but like I said, his stories is found from chapters 37 on. I think it's the first way to defeat is just as Joseph did. Chapter 37, verse 5. Now Joseph had a dream, and he told it to his brothers, and they hated him even more. Now, it wasn't the telling part. It was a dream part. See, God gave him a dream, means he gave him a vision. He gave him an inside glimpse of his future. So God revealed prophetically to him what was to come. Now you can go read the dream and what all took place. I don't want to get into all of that. But let's skip down to verse 9. Then he dreamed still another dream. So again, God gave him another glimpse. He showed him again. And in the Bible, anytime something is dreamed twice or said twice, it means it is established. So God was saying, Joseph, you are the most loved in your father's home right now. Here is what your future looks like. And he sees how the sun and the moon are bowing down to him, and then how the wheat and the sap is bowing down to him. He had no idea what was about to come. He had no idea what was about to hit. The dream did not reveal the journey. It simply showed the end. It simply showed what would take place. For in the end, of what does Habakkuk say? How write the vision and make it plain, for in the end it shall speak. This was the end speaking to Joseph. The dream, the prophetic insight God gave him, did not reveal the journey. Joseph, though, had a lot of hiccups. He had a lot of rug being pulled out. He had a lot of being brought lows or humblings in his journey. Just to give a quick recap, Joseph's brothers sold him into slavery. They threw him in a pit, told his father he died. He was then bought by Potiphar. He went all the way up in status in that place. He rose to there was none other than Potiphar himself was above him. We know that the wife lied on him. He was thrown into prison. He was brought to the lowest of lows of the prison. Then he interpreted some dreams. He told the people, don't forget about me. They forgot about him. And then in due season and at the right time, the very people who had forgotten him then remembered, revealed to Pharaoh one who could help interpret his dream. And then he come out. We know what happened there. He was second basically in all of Pharaoh. But a lot of times the feet could have taken Joseph under. But every single time, you never see complaints. You never see a woe is me. You simply see a man being diligent everywhere he was. He was diligent in his father's home. He was diligent when he was in Potiphar's home. He was diligent even in the prison, because he become the favorite to the guards and to the prison. He was diligent when he came to be one of the leaders of Pharaoh. He gave his heart and soul into everything he did. He did not complain and woe is me and lie down and give up. He did not allow defeat to overtake him. He did not allow defeat to take him under. He did not drown in it. He rose above it. How? How was he able to rise above it every single time? Genesis 50:20 says, and this is when he's talking to his brothers after they're coming to forgive, and they revealed themselves to each other, and his families come back to him. There is no 51 in Genesis, by the way, so it does go all the way to 50. Verses 20 says, but as for you, you meant evil against me, but God meant it for good in order to bring it about as it is this day to save many people alive. God used everything, every person meant for harm against him, for Joseph's good. But how was Joseph able to be the successful person, even in the lowest of lows, through his journey? It goes all the way back to chapter 37, when it said, now Joseph had a dream. Joseph tuned in and hooked in to the vision God had. He knew, like Habakkuk said, again, I'm going to repeat this, how in the end it would speak. He knew what the end foretold. He knew what was coming his way. He did not know his journey, but he didn't let the journey detour him from getting out of alignment with the prophetic utterances of God when God showed him and revealed to him what was to come. Every attack, every hit, every blow that came to him did not alter God's plan and his alignment in his mind. He continually stayed focused on the fact that he had a dream. He had prophetic insight. He had a download of the end. He didn't know how he was getting there. He didn't know how it was going to come about, but he knew what was coming in the end. Women who warfare, get your mind tuned into the dream, the vision, the prophetic utterance. If you don't have one concerning an issue that you're dealing with, ask God to give it to you. It doesn't necessarily have to be a dream. It could just be a knowing. It could just be getting in alignment, just in your spirit. It could come from a prophetic person. It could come from just you being in your word and you find it, or God speaking it to your spirit. You need to get in alignment. The reason you need this, you need God to unveil a secret to you. The reason you need this is because just like Joseph, he was able to go to the lowest of lows, become a slave, then a prisoner, to being forgotten about, to holding on, because he knew what was coming. He knew the end. You need to get your mind, you need to get focused, you need to get dead set into what is your end. What is going to happen? Is that alcoholic going to recover? Is that sickness going to be healed? Are you going to get that baby? Are you going to get that breakthrough? Is your finances going to straighten out? Whatever you're warring for, are you going to get it? You've got to get your mind. Like I said, defeat happens in the mind. And in order to not be defeated is to be able to get your mind in a victorious mindset. The way you do that is because you get the vision, you get the dream, you get the understanding of the end. You don't know the journey, but you know the end. You don't know what's coming your way day after day, but you know the end. You don't know what you're going to have to face and go through, but you know the end. And the end is for your good. Even if all those things prior was meant for your harm, it turns out to be for your good. The next person I want to talk about is Hannah. 1 Samuel 1. Now, we're all very familiar with Hannah, especially if you are familiar with my page and have been with me for a while, because I was a Hannah. To give a little backstory real quick, just in case you're new to all of this, Hannah was a barren woman. The scholars believe she was barren anywhere from 14 to 19 years because of the way the laws of the land worked. So Hannah was also a woman of, let's say religion, but she was a godly woman, let's say it like that, because year after year, her husband would take his family to the house of God and worship, as was custom to the people. That was required, that they would go yearly to worship. Not everybody kept and held to the custom. Elkanah and his family did. 1, 6, and 7 says, in her rival, which is the second wife of Elkanah, however you say his name, that's just how I say it. I say her name is Peninnah. Talking about Peninnah, and her rival also provoked her sorely to make her miserable, because the Lord had closed her womb. So it was year by year when she went up to the house of the Lord that she provoked her. Therefore she wept and did not eat. How do you stay above defeat when the thing you're warring for is year after year after year after year after year? Month after month, day after day? How do you not become the pitiful, woe is me, no fight kind of woman? How do you not become that person? How, we got to remember Joseph. We got to get that mind. We got to get in alignment with the vision. But how do we get to the place where even when we're being provoked by the enemy? Because listen, there is an enemy, and if you have a sore spot, he likes to poke at it. He continually likes to just touch at it and poke at it and make it sore. God love my mom, but my dad, every time he says he has like a hurt or a wound or a sore, mom can't help but to touch and say, does this hurt? It's just natural reaction. The enemy's like that, but even worse in so many levels, because he likes to see a sore spot, see something that's hurt, see something that's broken in you, and continually agonize it and poke at it and irritate it. Hannah, though, kept her composure. Yes, she didn't eat, and yes, she got bitterness of soul. All of this is true. But where did that put her? A defeated woman stays in her bed in her tears. A woman who warfares in victory gets herself up and does what Hannah does. When that bitterness of soul tries to overtake, she takes it to the altar. She takes it to Jesus. She takes it and pours it out to him. Not in her own, woe is me, I can't fight, there's nothing I could do, the Lord has closed my, which another thing I want to point out, be careful not to be a paniah to someone else, especially when the cause of their pain is from the Lord. That is a message for another day, but not all pain is from the enemy. Think about that. Because it clearly states in verse 5, although the Lord had closed her womb. So be careful what you say and who you say things to. Anyway, message for another day. But it says in verse 10, and she was in bitterness of soul and prayed to the Lord and wept in anguish. Then it goes on to say how she had made a vow and all of this. But actually verse 12 says, and it happened as she continued praying before the Lord. So there was a continuousness of prayer. That just kind of spoke to me right there. How it was a continuous. When you don't get your breakthrough, you keep praying till you get your breakthrough. Now, Hannah's breakthrough didn't come as all of a sudden she was expecting. All of a sudden she got that breakthrough in one moment in a way of, oh, it's here that you have this. Her breakthrough came in a word. Her breakthrough come from agreement of covenant, agreement of promise of the coming son. In order to be above defeat, not allow defeat to overtake you, you've got to get to the place where on those days when you're sorely provoked, on those days that you feel like defeat's just about to take you under, when you can barely see the vision, you can barely hold on the dream, because let me tell you, when it's a year after year, you're gonna have those days, but you cannot sink under, you cannot give into it. You've got to do like Hannah does and say, you know what, I'm in bitterness of soul right now, but I'm not gonna wallow in a pity party. I'm gonna take it and pour it out before the Lord. I'm going to get at his feet. I'm going to get at his altar. And I'm not moving. I'm going to continue in prayer until I get the agreement of the promise, until I get the breakthrough. And 17 says, and Eli answered, go in peace, and the God of Israel grant you your petition, which you've asked of him. She simply got agreement. And sometimes that's all you need, is you need to get in agreement with the Holy Spirit. You need to get into the place where instead of breaking on your own in your bed, get at the altar and break before him. Get it out of you. In order to not be a defeated person, you've got to get those yucky feelings, those emotions, those things out. It's okay to cry. It's okay, to have a bad day. It's not okay to stay there. It's not okay to keep in agreement with that. It's not okay to just lie there in it. You've got to get up and pick yourself up. You've got to shake yourself off. Take off your cloak of heaviness. Put on the full armor of God and say, God, I might be crying and I may be anguish in soul now, but I'm pouring it out before you because I'm looking for agreement. I'm looking for a breakthrough. Hannah didn't get a baby that same day. She didn't get the kind of breakthrough maybe she wanted. Maybe your breakthrough is not going to look the way you need it to look. Maybe it's not going to look how you need it to look. But if you get agreement of the word, if you get the word of the promise from God, that is enough of a breakthrough, because it's going to shatter through the defeat that is trying to take you under. So like Joseph, get your mind. Take control of your mind. Get in alignment of the vision. Get that dream and hold it close. Keep reminding yourself. I'm sure Joseph had reminded himself of the dream there in the prison. There as he's scrubbing the floors. There as he's being forgotten about. I'm sure he had to keep reminding himself what was to come. But remember what's to come. And then when you have those bad days and when you're being sorely provoked, you get yourself at the altar and you pour it out. And then we're going to jump to David. We all know this. This is so talked about. But David in 1 Samuel 30, verses 6, and we're talking about a time when he's actually in the Philistine land. Well, he's in Ziklag. This is the time he's running from Saul. His whole kingdom is, his whole promise, he's running on a promise. He's running as the chosen of God, but so he's running on this promise, this word. But he's got to a place where He just lost everything. He just lost his wives. He just lost his children. That means he just lost his future. In this situation, the children is the future. The enemy just stole the future from him. I don't know about you, but I have felt like my future has taken a few blows a time or two. I felt like the enemy has tried to take that from me and say, you will not grow no further than right here where you're at. You won't get no more victory. There's no more breakthrough for you. Excuse me, and even at this point, even those around him turned on him. I don't know if you've been to that place where you feel like, don't have a friend in the world. My pastor's not speaking to me. The prophetic voices in my life aren't speaking to me. They're not praying for me. Everybody thinks I'm in the wrong. Everybody thinks I'm handling this wrong. I have no one here to encourage me. I have no one here to hold my hands up like Moses had Aaron and Hur. I have no one to help me lift this load. David found himself completely alone in this moment. But what did he do? Verse 6 is, now David was greatly distressed. And for the people had spoke of stoning him. Not only did in this moment did the enemy steal his future, he tried killing it right here in this place. Because the soul of the people was grieved, every man for his sons and for his daughters. Again, they were grieved for the future. They were grieved because the enemy tried to put a period where it was still an ongoing sentence. But David strengthened himself in the Lord. Another translation said, and David encouraged himself in the Lord. It goes on to say how David began to pray. But first, before it says anything, it says he strengthened himself in the Lord. The beginning of the same exact verse says he was greatly distressed. And the end of this sentence says he strengthened himself. It didn't say he was strengthening or he was going to. It said he strengthened. In one sentence, in one act, he went from being greatly distressed to being strengthened or encouraged. That quick it can happen for you. How? It is just like getting yourself into alignment, getting back that vision, getting back and pouring it out before the Lord and say, I will remember the things God has done for me. I will remember the vision. I will remember the dream. I will stay in covenant and with the promise. I will not lose my agreement with God. I will not lose my agreement with the Holy Spirit. I'm not going to allow, just because the enemy has came in like a lion right here, and he's been loud, he's been obnoxious, he's tried to steal my future, but I will not let him put a period where it's still an ongoing sentence. I will not stop in this place just because the enemy has came in and tried to be, what is that when, let's just stick with obnoxious so I don't lose myself. Not be an obnoxious voice in your life, because let me tell you, when you're not being loud with your voice, calling back the remembrance of God, declaring the word, declaring the promise, declaring the vision, speaking about it, holding tight to it, reminding God of the promise, let me tell you what you're going to begin to hear. The enemy putting a period, stopping the sentence of the future from growing. Does that make sense? I hope that just made sense from somebody. There will always be a voice speaking. And if it's not yours in alignment with the Spirit of God, then it will be the enemy being an obnoxious, lying voice to you. And he's the father of all life. He might tell you they're never getting that deliverance. They're never changing. They're never getting saved. They're never going to get that breakthrough. That's never going to happen. Just stop fighting now. Give up now. Throw in the towel now. But you just remember who the God of breakthrough is. What was it last week when we talked about the fast? The God who breaks through. He's the God who breaks through. Actually, that goes with David when he was into the valley. It was the valley of giants when he defeated Goliath. He renamed that valley, and I can't say all the Hebrew words, but when he renamed that valley, he named it the God who breaks through. The God of breakthroughs. There is a God who breakthrough when it's just defeat or when it's the promise in full. It's okay to continually strengthen yourself and encourage yourself in the God of breakthroughs. It's okay to keep calling back in remembrance, all those things. It's not living in the past. That's why you continually hear me thanking God over the babies, thanking God over David's healing. Because just like that, I could have lost my son. I could have never got babies. I can't help but to thank God. I can't help but to glorify him. I can't help but to keep telling how he spared my life when I was internally bleeding. I can't help but to continually tell you guys about my testimony, because there's power in it. Thank you. There's my smart friend. If you read in the comments, there they are. Um, you have to, I have to, it's a compelling within me because I can't lose focus of the promise. And even when the promise has come, even when I've got the breakthrough, I will continue to glorify God into it because I won't forget where I come from, because there will be battles another day, and I will need to be strengthened, and I will need to be encouraged in the Lord. And the way I'll do that is by connecting with the things of times past. How he gave me, delivered me from depression, delivered me from cigarettes, opened my womb, spared my life, spared my son's life. He reversed diagnoses. That's the kind of God I serve. And so no matter what tomorrow or along the journey brings me, I don't have to go down in defeat, because I serve the God of breakthroughs. I am in agreement with the God of breakthroughs. And I am a breakthrough woman because I'm a woman who warfares, and I use the tips and the tools and the equipment God has given me in my hand. So women who warfare, as our weekly meetup, like I said, these will probably continue to the end of the year as faithfully as I can. Follow these steps. And you've got to defeat. We did our fast. We talked about our 911. Now, to really begin, you've got to get rid of the defeat. You've got to get rid of all the discouragement that's come to defeat you. You can't live as a defeated person. You can't fight as a defeated woman, because just like Gideon, when those who lapped at the water, God said, send them home. Send them home. Only keep the ones that would stay vigilant, that would kneel down and would scoop up the water. Keep their eyes focused. That kept their eyes looking, waiting for an enemy. You want to be the one that brings the breakthrough. Not in you and your might. That's not what I'm saying. But if you want to be the one, the voice that God uses to bring about that breakthrough in your family, that gets that addict delivered, that gets that marriage restored, that comes through the reconciliation for that family, to get that breakthrough in the health or the mind, then you better start kneeling down. Stop laughing as a defeated person. Stop hiding under all the covers. Pull back the covers. Get your war shoes on and stay vigilant. So just to recap before we end, get the dream. Understand the dream. Understand the vision, the prophetic utterance, however you want to phrase it. On your bad days, empty it out before the Lord. When the enemy's provoked you to the point you can't handle it no more, go at his altar and pray, continually pray till you get your breakthrough. And then finally, when the blows seem like they just keep coming, encourage yourself in the Lord. Strengthen yourself in his might. Call back to remembrance all the times God has been a God of breakthrough for you. Then you rise up and you fight and you war, because that enemy, he's already defeated. He already knows he's defeated. He just don't want you to know he's defeated, that he's already defeated. So his plan is to make you get so defeated that you can't even war anymore. Rise up, warrior. Rise up. That's all. I can't help but say that today. Just rise up, warrior. You are a woman, and you are a woman who warfares, so you are a woman of victory. Ladies, I hope that I spoke and ministered to somebody. Be blessed today. I am with you in prayer continually, even those who have done fasting, but those that are needing this series, I am with you. I am praying for you, girls. Keep me and my family in prayer as well, because no one's above it, and I can only minister out of what I know. And usually that's from experience. So be blessed, ladies.